Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, April 4th, 2022. I am Dave Biddle flying solo on today's show. Student Appreciation Day was Saturday at Ohio State, and practice was also open to the media. We got to see a ton of great stuff. It was awesome. It's really cool. Ryan Day is a man of the people. He was out there chatting with the students during practice. Students are on the field right behind the offense. I hope you guys have seen some of the videos that we've posted. Some really cool stuff. If you haven't, get on bucknuts.com, get on our Twitter feed, whatever you want to do. But I'm actually going to post the show on Twitter right now. But make sure you guys get on our site, get on our Twitter feed, Bucknuts247, and check those videos out. It's really cool. So the media was right there as well. We're right behind C.J. Stroud as he's throwing the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Defense got the better of them at times too. We had one where the defense blitzed and got a sack on Stroud. It was just really, really cool. So let's get into some of the main things that we learned. Let's start with this. C.J. Hicks, true freshman, who should still be in high school right now, from Kettering-Alter in the Dayton area, was getting first-team reps at linebacker. Now, cautionary tale, they will rotate a lot of guys, obviously. That's what they do. They rotate a lot of guys. So that's what they're doing in spring right now, is rotating a lot of guys. But still, it's a very interesting development that C.J. Hicks was getting his reps with the first-team defense. Does that mean he's going to be a starter at linebacker as a true freshman? No, that does not necessarily mean that, but definitely an interesting development. You can tell, Jim Knowles talked about it, that they like him, and then to see it out there where he's getting his reps with the first-team defense, rotating in, very, very interesting there. Looks like Steele Chambers is the top linebacker. He gets all of his reps with the first team, and kind of looks like the main guy out there. As you guys probably know, they're really only going to have two linebackers on the field at most times. Now, when they go with three linebackers, when the opposition is in 12 personnel, two tight ends on the field, they're going to put a Sam linebacker out there, and that's going to be Reed Carrico. He's going to be that number one Sam. So Reed Carrico is going to have a role on this defense. E.A. Natiote is also getting reps there. But certainly the most interesting development was C.J. Hicks getting first-team reps. Tommy Eichenberg's getting first-team reps and second-team reps. So that's why it indicated to me that Steele Chambers is the number one guy. Steele Chambers isn't getting any second-team reps. Tommy Eichenberg's floating back and forth between first-team, second-team. Taraja Mitchell was out there with the first team. Now, I don't know if that means the light has come on for Taraja as a fifth-year senior, or if they're throwing a fifth-year senior a bone, as they are wont to do in spring. I'm not just talking about this coaching staff. I'm talking about every coaching staff ever. A lot of times guys get a chance in spring, and you kind of know they're probably not going to be in the plans. But who knows? Maybe the light has come on for Taraja. He was a high four-star recruit. Got on the field a lot last year. We'll see. With Jim Knowles, maybe he can bring the best out of Taraja Mitchell. So you're probably wondering about Chip Trayanum. He's getting his reps with the second team. Looks good to me at linebacker. I like this group of linebackers, much maligned last year, and rightfully so. But I think a lot of that was scheme, and they were young. And now they have an infusion of guys like Chip Trayanum. They have guys like C.J. Hicks that weren't even on the team last year. Steele Chambers now with a full year under his belt of playing linebacker after moving from running back. And I think Jim Knowles, keep in mind that he's not just the defensive coordinator, he's also the linebackers coach. I think Knowles is going to get the best out of this group. So a lot to get into there at linebacker. One more thing, Cody Simon was injured, was not out there, if you're wondering about Cody Simon. All right. The other thing, there's so much, my gosh, I could go on and on and on. I have to get to a Ryan Day press conference eventually. We're going to meet with Ryan Day today at 10:30. So I probably won't, do a 5-hour podcast. I don't want to miss that press conference. But, man, I'm telling you, I could. There was a lot of good stuff. Jordan Hancock is moving up the depth chart, my friends. He's going to be that top backup corner, that number 3 corner. He got all of his reps with the second team and looked good to me. Looked good out there. He got all of his reps with the first team. He would rotate in there with the first team. Obviously, Cam Brown and Denzel Burke are the starters, but they're rotating guys in, and the guy that rotated in with the first team defense at corner was always Jordan Hancock, and he looked good out there. Number 13, Jordan Hancock, played as a true freshman, did not redshirt last year, so he played in more than 4 games. They like Jordan Hancock. He's a tall corner, 6'1", 190. Gotta love that size out there. They got some big corners out there. Denzel Burke was making plays, which will surprise nobody. And I like Cam Brown. He's the veteran, the 5th-year senior, now 2 years removed from that torn Achilles. So he looks really good. I think it was it a torn Achilles? I might have that wrong. I think it was a torn Achilles against Penn State in 2020. Whatever it was a season-ending injury. I believe it was. They've had so many torn Achilles. I believe it was, though. Cam Brown looks good out there. Denzel Burke looks good. And Jordan Hancock, he's the young guy on the rise. J.K. Johnson looks good. Redshirt freshman came in with Jordan Hancock. J.K. Johnson's getting his reps with the second team, though, in practice. He was not rotating with the first team. So that clearly tells you that Jordan Hancock doesn't mean he's like necessarily like massively ahead of J.K. Johnson on the depth chart, but he is certainly ahead of him on the depth chart. What are some other interesting things maybe that I left out on corner? That's pretty much it. I think Jair Brown looks good, true freshman. Another guy that enrolled early. It's nothing new anymore. About half the recruiting class enrolls early every year, sometimes more than that. And Jair Brown, maybe a guy that we're not talking about enough. He was getting some second team reps, almost had an interception during the scrimmage portion against Kyle McCord. So I thought, Jair Brown looked good out there as well. The quarterbacks are so sharp. CJ Stroud could not have been any sharper out there. It's just so much fun watching him throw to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba coming off that record-breaking season, over 1,600 yards. It's just crazy, the stats. If you look at the stats for Jackson Smith-Njigba, it looks like something from like an NFL like Pro Bowler. They play 17 regular season games, though. So pretty crazy what he was able to do last year. And that was with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave on the team. I'm telling you, though, it's not like – Marvin Harrison looks like a beast out there. And don't believe the roster. I give my friends – I consider them friends. Jerry Emig and Mike Bassford do a great job as the sports information directors over there. Jerry Emig, the head, and Mike Bassford, his right-hand man. They do a great job. I joke with them. I'm like, you guys have got to get Marvin Harrison changed from 6'3" to 6'4" in a depth chart. He looks closer to 6'5" than 6'3" to me. He's not 6'3". I even asked Marvin about it. He's like, I'm 6'4". Marvin's a really laid back, like very humble kid. You would think, NFL, his dad's Marvin, obviously, an NFL Hall of Famer, played with Peyton Manning all those years. We all know about Marvin Harrison Sr. And then, Marvin Harrison Jr. himself, was a big time recruit. Could not be more humble. And he looks great out there. Emeka Egbuka looks great out there. So it's crazy to say this when you're losing 2 first-round picks at wide receiver. I don't think they're going to take a step back at all. And that's no shot at Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. I love those guys. And those guys are going to be NFL, if not stars. They're going to be very good NFL players for a long time. I think Chris Olave might be the safest pick in the draft. And Garrett Wilson has a higher ceiling than that. And we'll go ahead of Chris Olave in the draft. Both those guys are going to be really good. So it's almost insane to say it, but I'm saying it. You lose 2 first-round picks at wide receiver, they won't skip a beat. When Julian Fleming is your number 4 receiver, in my opinion, coaches aren't necessarily saying that, but Julian Fleming's the number 4 receiver, which I think he is. I still think he's going to have a big role, relatively. You're stacked at wide receiver. Jaden Ballard's your number 5. Telling you guys, Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka look great. And obviously Jackson Smith-Njigba looks great. So, I like the backup quarterbacks too. Kyle McCord was pretty good, but I thought Devin Brown didn't necessarily outplay Kyle McCord, but I thought for a true freshman, he was really impressive. Devin Brown, I thought, I kind of had high expectations. That was my first time getting a really long look at him, especially in a scrimmage situation. They were going live out there, especially the third team guys. They were letting the third team guys tackle. Some of the starters, they were just thudding up. We were kind of joking. It's like, yeah, the third team guys, you guys can go live. You guys are allowed to tackle. Starters, you guys can't tackle. No, they weren't tackling the quarterback, but still, they were coming after Devin Brown, and he's had made one great play where avoided the rush, stepped up in the pocket, and threw a laser to Emeka Egbuka. Really impressed with Devin Brown there. So let's get to some other stuff here. So it's interesting. The offense was ranked number 1 in the country last year in scoring offense and total offense. They will be better this year. Okay, here's why. They struggled in short yardage last year. They couldn't run the ball when they needed to. I've repeated this several times, but I love what Kevin Wilson said a few weeks ago. So you can't call us the number 1 offense in the country last year. Yeah, statistically we were number 1, but you can't lose 2 games, especially one to your rival, and call yourself the number 1 offense in the country. I love that. And he didn't get too much into this, but he alluded to it. That short yardage running game was nowhere near where it needed to be. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 felt like, oh my gosh, it shouldn't feel like you're nervous when it's 3rd and 1. You should feel pretty confident, and and they just couldn't get it done. Goal line, couldn't get it done. And I think that is going to be a huge improvement this year. I love seeing Justin Fry coach up this O-line, and I think this O-line is going to be better than last year. The parts just fit better. I think the talent and then the fit and the coaching fits really well to me. I think this O-line, left to right, you have Paris Johnson, then you have Donovan Jackson, Luke Whippler, Matt Jones, DeJuan Jones. We thought maybe Donovan Jackson was going to be right guard, Matt Jones left guard. No, it's Donovan Jackson left guard, Matt Jones right guard. I love that. Donovan Jackson is a beast out there. I mean, Paris Johnson looks great at left tackle. Luke Whippler is going to be better in his second year as a starter at center. Matt Jones finally getting, as a fifth-year senior, a full-time starting role. He started off and on the last couple of years. Last year was, and we should say he started off and on last year, but he played a lot last year. He was definitely the sixth man. Donovan Jackson, looks like a star on the rise. And my God, DeJuan Jones. Another one, another one I need to give Jerry and Mike a hard time about on the roster. DeJuan Jones is not 360 pounds. And I'm not making fun. I love that he's more like 380 or 390 because he moves like he's like 290, and that's his basketball days. And now he's a fully fledged football player entering his fourth year. He just looks like an absolute man-child out there. He just towered. This is they've got offensive linemen like Paris Johnson, 6'7", 320, and DeJuan Jones looks like a beast compared to him. Think about how he looks compared to some of the corners and stuff. So he just stands out, above the rest, literatively and figuratively. So that's the one area they have to get better in. And proof's going to be in the pudding. Doesn't just mean because I'm telling you guys on the podcast it's going to be better. That doesn't mean it's going to be better, but I would bet on it. I think it's going to be markedly better. It's certainly going to be better. That's a low bar. Low bar. I could jump over that bar. They're going to be markedly better, in my opinion, in that area. So there you go. A lot of great stuff. Let's get into some more stuff here. Yeah, Ryan Day today. And again, and a couple other guys. I think Mitchell Melton's a guy we're not talking about enough. He looks good out there. Third-year sophomore. And we'll see how much they actually use that jack. That might be a little bit, maybe we're talking about that too much. I think there will be more traditional 4-3 than maybe we thought. When you have guys like Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, and they like their D tackles, Jerron Cage, Tyleek Williams at the 1 tech, Teron Vincent looks good at the 3 tech. Ty Hamilton is going to play a bigger role than maybe some people think. Entering his junior year, he looks good. Ty Hamilton, he came after interviews one time. Because remember the thing about Ty Hamilton when he came in, and he played as a true freshman in 2020. Obviously, Devon Hamilton's younger brother. The thing with Ty Hamilton obviously was, is he undersized? He's too undersized to be a good D tackle here. He came out for interviews. They still list him at 6'3", 290. He came out for interviews like last week, and I was like, who is that? And I was like, oh, it's Ty Hamilton. He's bulked up. He looks good. And he was out there a lot. All of his reps were at the first team. So you like these D tackles. Mike Hall looks good. And you got JT Tuimoloau. You got Jack Sawyer. You got Zach Harrison, who looks good to me. He had a good scrimmage. He made a really nice play where he blew up Joe Royer and came in and, they were just thudding up, but came in and stopped Travion Henderson. That was one goal line play where they didn't get the job done, short yardage, because Zach Harrison blew up the play. I will say, even though Joe Royer got blown up on that block, I think Joe Royer is having a good spring. Joe Royer and Cade Stover are clearly the top 2 tight ends. Joe Royer's getting all of his reps with the first team, all of them. Cade Stover as well. And then you got, some of the younger guys out there are going to be your second team tight ends. I don't know if they're going to play that much because the top 3 tight ends, because Mitch Rossi is missing spring. I think if you're the 4th tight end, you're not going to play much. But I think those top 3 tight ends, they'll find a way to get them on the field as they do. Buckeyes play 3 tight ends every year because they like to play some 12 personnel here and there. And then if you're the top backup, the number 3 tight end, you're going to get some action. And they all complement each other well. Mitch Rossi is more of a fullback, H-back. Joe Royer's a guy, was a wide receiver actually at Cincinnati Elder, even though he was recruited as a tight end by everybody. He's 6'5", now over 240 pounds. They list him at 245. He's about 242, he says. He's a very good pass catcher. Now he's bulked up enough where he can at least be, maybe not against Zach Harrison, but he can be somewhat effective in the blocking game. But Joe Royer's a good pass catcher. And then you got Cade Stover in there to be that just, that wrecking crew of a blocker that you need at tight end for the Buckeyes. So those are your top 3 tight ends in whatever order. Probably Stover, Royer, and then Rossi. Rossi's going to have a decent role just like he did last year, probably even a little bigger role with Ruckert not here anymore. And then the 2 young guys who are going to be filling out the 2 deep. Sam Hart, Bennett Christian. So there's your updated tight end there. I think going back to the jack position for a moment. If they do go with that, which they're going to mix that in, Jim Knowles is going to use that at times, that hybrid outside linebacker defensive end. Jack Sawyer, I think, is going to be the number 1 jack. That makes very fitting, right? Jack Sawyer, number 1 jack. And I think Mitchell Melton will be that, that number 2 guy there. They have other guys. I thought Caden Curry looked good. Another true freshman, should still be in high school right now. His family was there. Man, there was like over 1,000 people there. And we were indoors at the WAC. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos. It was crazy. Over 600 students, bunch of media, tons of recruits, and it was so cool. Tons of former players. I mean, so many former players. It was so cool. I caught up with a few of them. Just seeing their faces is cool. These are guys that, frankly, I admire. And then you cover them all these years if you're on the beat, and you interview them, and then they go off and do great things, and you almost kind of forget about them. Not forget about them, but you then you see their face, and it all comes rushing back. It's so cool. And there was like hundreds of former players there. Maybe I'm probably 100 at least. I mean, I'm probably not exaggerating. At least 100 former players were there. So 1,000 people packed inside the WAC, including the team. So much fun. I mean, the line for the students was stretching out the door of the WAC to the parking lot to get in, because we had to wait till 11:30 a.m. to get in. People are waiting in the atrium to get into the indoor facility. And then that line stretched all the way out the doors, all the way down the walking path, all the way to the parking lot at the WAC. You guys know what the setup there is. It was crazy, the line of students to get in. So that was a lot of fun. As I mentioned, we're going to meet with Ryan Day today at 10:30 a.m. We're going to have video of that. We'll have a story of that. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for that. And again, Ryan Day is just, he is so genuine. I mean, it's just was so cool to watch him interact with the students. And then even after that, I mean, literally between plays during the scrimmage, just going over there, like joking with the students. Again, get on Bucknuts and watch our 6-minute video, or get on our Twitter feed. Watch that 6-minute video of, the offense versus defense and the team portion. You'll see, some great stuff from the Buckeyes in the scrimmage. And then you'll see Ryan Day coming over like between plays and just chatting with the students. And we even got video of that. And then afterwards, he calls over all the students, and they made sure to tell them, don't leave, because he wanted to talk to just them and thank them. And we have video of that as well. And, he's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a man. And I know they're happy in Columbus. And I don't think if you're worried about he's going anywhere, he's not going anywhere. Maybe one day he'll go to the NFL. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. They're very happy. And Buckeye fans are, very fortunate to have him. I'm very fortunate to have all of you being loyal listeners and loyal viewers to the show. I really appreciate it. I got to get rolling, so I'm not late to the press conference. I got to get the podcast up on the podcast version, the audio-only version. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the live broadcast. I appreciate everybody tuning in to the podcast version. If you like the show, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. All that stuff really helps. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys joining me this morning. Keep it locked to Bucknuts for more coverage. I hope everyone has a great day.